Hey mama, it is Celia from Bougie Mom Friends. If you are trying to find balance being an amazing mom while still trying to find time for you, you are in the right place. My co-host Cammie and I are here to talk about all of the things from trusting your instinct with your kids to carving out space for self-care and even indulging in a little pop culture escape. It's all about real conversations with moms who get it because we're all about thriving, not just surviving. So take a breath, grab a drink, and join us, your Bougie Mom Friends.
So an interesting kind of avenue that your book took, and I went on a holistic vacation, and they talked about kind of like, you know, your mentality and mindfulness. So I just kind of like started getting into this, and then your book took a deep dive into that and how it's so important for your gut health. And I was like, wow, like this is not some like, you know, voodoo magic stuff. It's like real, and how to implement it with your kids. So I started doing it with my daughter, like the belly breathing and stuff was really great. But I had no idea how important breath work is.
So important. I mean, that's, you know, and the reason why I really wanted to have a whole chapter dedicated to it is because for too long, we've placed this kind of quote, mind body medicine or, you know, yoga, meditation. Oh, I'll do that when I have time. That's just to feel good. I'm like, well, first of all, there's nothing wrong with feeling good, right?
Yeah.
But second of all, what I tell, you know, families in the office is this is not, you know, I don't even really want to call it mind body medicine anymore, because a lot of people, when you say that, when you talk about meditation or mindfulness, I mean, a lot of kids nowadays, at least, you know, in my area, they have socio-emotional learning classes where they do yoga in school and they do a little meditation. It's a class that a lot of the kids, they kind of roll their eyes at, oh yeah, I get to take a little nap, right? Because they're not learning the why of it. And when I explain, you know, to kids and to parents that when we engage our mind in that way, that's what top athletes do. They are, you know, when you're in the zone, right? When you're so creative, you know, business people who are just like laser focused and like in flow, you know, on a roll, right? All these things that we say, that is the state that you get in when you're meditating or when you're doing breath work. That is the state that helps us reach optimal performance. And then it's not just about optimal performance from like a mind standpoint. When we do this and we engage something called our vagus nerve that I talk to kids about, engaging your vagus nerve through all of this breath work, meditation, whatever it is, visualization, feeling good and calm, that's an amazing side effect of that. Like, I love that. I want everyone to feel calm and safe and secure. But the real benefit for me as a pediatrician is that engaging your vagus nerve reduces chronic inflammation. It helps balance your immune system. It actually regulates your blood sugar. It balances all of your crazy hormones, right? And it has so many different effects on every single organ system in your body. So if you feel great and calm doing it, that's wonderful, right? But then all of the things that you can't see that are happening on the inside, that is what's going to help you stay healthier and happier for the rest of your life. And oh, by the way, when you engage your vagus nerve and you do meditation or breath work, it actually helps your microbiome get healthier, independent of what you're eating. So even if if you have kids who are super picky, you're like, I don't know if I can change your diet just yet. Well, that's okay. You can sit there. You can do diaphragmatic, belly breathing together. You can walk in nature. You can do all sorts of things that are still going to help.
Yeah. Okay. So now you have me thinking, because the difference between even the millennial generation to this newer generation is kids don't play as much. There is so much routine, and play, I would think, would generate some sort of healthy microbiome because they're in the zone. They're being creative. They're building a castle with rocks. They're playing in the dirt, this or that. And now technology is kids are just sitting on their little, YouTube watching Blippi and, playing video games and Lord knows what. How much do you think technology has disrupted the microbiome?
I think it plays a really big role. And, there actually is a study looking at, kids, and I think these were college kids, older teens, younger adults who were on their screens a lot. Right. And the more the screen time, the more different their microbiomes were. So kids who use screen time less, their microbiomes were different than kids who use screen time more. And honestly, it actually wasn't a high number. Because when you look at your screen time use, I mean, let's be honest, right?
Right.
I mean, what number is it really?
You're like, that many hours?
Yeah.
What on
You're like, I
earth?
had that much time in the day.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
So for some kids, it's like 7-8 hours, right? So this was like really only looking at 3 hours, which you could do like that, right?
Yeah.
Because people, I mean, it passes by like nothing. And it's not continuous 3 hours. I mean, it's just waiting in line. And think about, when I was a kid and we were at the grocery store with our parents, what did we do? We just hung out there. We chatted.
Yes.
We looked at the magazines that were on the rack, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have anything to just sit there and scroll through, right?
Yep.
And the other thing too, when we think about what screen time, what kids are doing on their screens, we also have to think about what are they not doing when they're on their screens.
Yeah.
Well, they're not moving their bodies,
Yeah.
right? They're not exercising. They're not out in nature. They're not hanging out socially with their friends in person. Like all of those things can support a healthy microbiome, support a healthy brain. And in fact, and we know now, the harms of social media, especially for our teen girls.
Ugh.
But one of the things that has been found to be the most protective for our teen girls is in-person interaction, like face-to-face interaction. So, it's not enough to just be FaceTiming someone. It's in person that makes a huge difference.
Why do you think it's more important for girls versus boys? Is it just the social dynamic with girls?
It's a different impact. Okay. And it's also, as much as we'd like to think there aren't really any differences between boys and girls' brains and their developing systems, it's very different. I mean, we found even, the role of testosterone impacts ADHD more. I mean, boys are significantly more likely to develop ADHD. And the impact of stressors early on in life affects boys differently. It seems like early life stress affects boys more versus adolescent, teen, and tween stress affects girls more. And they're more likely to develop things like PTSD, right? It's just the way our brains are developing. And so girls in that stage are more susceptible to those psychological stressors that then lead to, basically emotional angst, right? And they found that the most vulnerable years now, and we need more studies, and we're just kind of on the tip of the iceberg of this, but the most vulnerable years really seem to be kind of 11 to 12 years of age, and then fast forward to maybe 17 to 19 years of age, right? So 11 to 12, you're just kind of in your formative years where, I mean, you're just really getting a sense of your place in the world.
Yeah.
We don't want that to be, we don't want their identity to be that kind of imposed by social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you think about what's going on in the older kids, high school age kids, I mean, there's the whole comparison game, right? And so boys are, less likely to be impacted by social media. They still are. They're more likely to become addicted to video games. So it's a different thing, right? So the teenage boy's brain or the young boy's brain, it's much more the like, I got to play my video games. I can't get off the screaming when, they have to turn off their video games. And so that's what we have to worry about with boys, and that more addictive tendency.
That probably throws off their vagus nerve like no other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and think, with gamers, the whole gaming industry, it's fascinating. I was talking with some folks in the supplement industry, and one of the areas that is exploding is the supplement industry for gamers. Yes, like these brain, like biohack your brain energy. Because if you're going to be sitting there for hours, right, not moving your body, probably eating crappy chips, right? Like they need to biohack their brains. it's astonishing. And so I have these kids who, come to me, and I mean, they look up everything now, right? And so they'll come and say, Dr. Song, is this supplement okay? I'm glad they're asking, first of all, right? That's amazing, instead of just doing it. But a lot of times they find a supplement, and then their parents are like, hey, let's run it by Dr. Song first, right? I mean, there's one that's on Amazon. It's a neon green. I mean, just horrible artificial sugars, artificial dyes. It does have good nootropic brain supplements like, acetyl L-carnitine and phosphatidylcholine. So I'll say, look, I think these ingredients are really good for your brain, these supplements, but not the artificial sugars, the dyes.
Yeah.
You're basically countering the benefits that you want to have.
I just learned about this. Yeah, it's insane what is allowed on the market. Why is this not incorporated into like standard MD, you think? Like, why is it like the curriculum needs to change? Like, we're living in literally toxins 24/7. And yes, we can do a balance, but like, why isn't our pediatricians and our doctors taking more of like a functional approach? Or is that happening now in residency? Like, what's going on with the medical space?
I don't know how much is happening in residency, although there are more and more residency programs who are trying to incorporate electives in lifestyle medicine and functional medicine. So I think it's going to come. It's slow though. I mean, there was one article that was looking at this old paper, but it was looking at how long it takes for research to get translated into clinical practice.
They're saying,
it takes at least 17 years, right? 17.
Right.
I mean, and in the case of pediatrics, probably even longer. And there are more and more pediatricians who, are coming to conferences like, I'm the A4M. A4M is one of the largest functional medicine training academies in the world. And so a few years back, they made it a commitment to start providing pediatric functional medicine education, which was amazing.
That's awesome.
So, and now I'm chair of pediatric education for them. And so many more pediatricians are coming and saying, I really want to learn this. I just found this out. I had this one pediatrician who, he's an older gentleman. He was maybe, I want to say, in his early 60s. He was still there, really excited to learn. But then he came up to me at one of the breaks and he said, I don't know how I can practice anymore knowing this.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
And he's like, I wish I had known this. And he's like, he literally said he was heartbroken thinking about how he could have done things differently. Right. So I think that most pediatricians and docs, once they really get their eyes open, they recognize there's a different way that we can do things. It's not that all, conventional docs are really completely closed-minded. There are some. I mean, obviously, we have some that are never going to really shift their viewpoint. But there are more and more who are really wanting to change, wanting to learn more. I wish it was starting in residency and medical school. I think there's some more progressive, medical schools and residencies who are leading the way. So we'll see. But it's really, it's up to parents, I think, and not to put all the responsibility on the parents, but as parents come, and ask the questions and say, hey, I heard about maybe trying saffron for ADHD. What do you think about that? And then hopefully the pediatrician will take the time, do some research and
look it up,
and say, oh, wow. Yeah, saffron actually can be as effective as Ritalin. Why not try that? Wow. Right. And so I just learned so much from moms. And I think as moms also, as kids get healthier or maybe reverse some of their chronic illnesses and they go back to their pediatricians and say, look, the eczema is gone. Yeah. And pediatricians or look, they don't have this autoimmunity anymore. Then hopefully that pediatrician say, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
Right? Like what worked? I'd love to know.
Are you seeing insurances covering more functional medicine? Or are you still seeing a lot of people having to pay out of pocket?
Yeah, it's still, unfortunately, a lot of it's out of pocket. I know there are more and more docs who are really working with underserved populations trying to bring this.
Yeah.
The testing is hard. Now, blood testing through like Quest or LabCorp, a lot of times we can get some testing, some of that testing, because there are some conventional labs that will run the tests that I want. And so I try to do as much of that through insurance as possible. Some of the more kind of deeper dive functional medicine tests, like the microbiome tests that I really like to run on kids. You can use your HSA or FSA if you have one, but if you don't, it's going to be really challenging to get that covered,
Yep.
unfortunately.
I mean, if you think about it, if you spend $50 for 1 month on, say, Starbucks, going out to eat, DoorDash, which I'm sure most people do, over the course of 12 months, it's $600. And $600 could potentially get your children a nice test, you know?
Oh,
Like I've
absolutely.
been
Like
like
two
thinking
nice
about,
tests.
yeah. So I've been thinking a lot about what can I cut back that is frivolous so that I can start to incorporate a lot more holistic into our lifestyles, knowing that it potentially might not be covered, because at this point, it's like a requirement, I think, as a parent to look into that kind of stuff.
I love that analogy because really, I mean, we were just feeling very like, remember, we're tired, right? The other night,
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, let's just DoorDash something. But the fees and the
I
things,
know.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we could have just
Fried an egg,
driven
right?
10
Right.
minutes,
We could have
right,
got
to
like
get
3
that.
meals. It's like upcharged like by like 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that I'm definitely going to use that. Thank you. That's so. I mean, we have to think about it in that way because
Yeah.
if we are going to prioritize our kids' health, we need to and our health personally. You know, frankly, as moms, we need to prioritize our health too. We need to put our money where our mouth is. Right. I mean, I think in the healthcare system, we're used to thinking, oh, all of our visits are going to be, quote, free. You know, I pay my premium, but that's not the way things are working now. You
Mm-mm.
can get the status quo, but if you really want to prioritize, I mean, I always talk to, families too about the money that you pay for food and really prioritizing that. You know, many people wouldn't skimp on the gas that they put into their cars. And it's like, you got to put as much priority to the quality of food that you're putting on your table.
Yeah.
I think that for me, what was so comforting about your book is that I've come from a medical background. You know, I work in the OR, so I hear a lot of things and a lot of, surgeons and saying, talking about like holistic medicine and, blowing it off and stuff. My daughter, when she would go to the bathroom, it was her stool was, yellow, floating. I'm like, something's not right. And, and the pediatrician's like, whatever. And so I saw, applied to kinesiologist. And he's like, oh, parasites, so you put her on black walnut, scutinella for she had fungus infection. Now, perfect. It was within like 3 weeks. Now she's perfect. So it's astonishing. And so I'm just glad that you apply in your book, you take modern medicine, and you mix it with that, but you put the studies in there, for all the naysayers out there. And you're like, here you go.
Here's the
And
facts.
in the back of the book, which is my favorite part, is that you list out common ailments, ear infection, eczema, and then, herbs that you can give, and just kind of how to treat it at home. And that is worth its weight in gold. Honestly, it's like the Bible of parenting illnesses that you need in your house. Seriously.
She literally daily has been for the past month. Like, we have 3 more weeks until we meet with Dr. Song. We have like 28 days. Like, she has been so amped. And then I got like super amped. I'm like, yeah. And then we're like sitting here like, Dr. Song's tomorrow. But I have one last question for you. So, and I'm not going to get into politics, but the one thing that now that I'm a parent, I am sad to see is that there's so many things that, like in political years, they're focused on as far as like just like initiatives, so on and so forth in layman's terms. I do not see enough about children and our future generations. Yeah. And I would love to see these candidates have like a medical team and what that medical team is going to do to represent their term. because I feel like, why are we focused on everything else? Like, what about my kid? You know, like, what about all of the, like, this is like the next generation that's going to lead the country and they're not going to live. You know what I mean? To see the day, like, what is going on? And I am now like furious, but like, what can we do as parents, whether it's local, state, you know, federal, whatever we can do? Like, what can we do as parents to help get in front of like some of these decision makers to like say like, hey, we need organic foods in the schools. Like, hey, like I need to run this test for my child. Like I want to fight, you know, to get this like approved through insurance. Like, do you have any tips on how to navigate from what you've seen through your network?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the biggest change tends to happen at the grassroots level. I mean, just from my political advocacy roots. I mean, I do call representatives and I will, you know, lobby and talk to the, you know, folks up in our state and federal levels. But that's not necessarily, it's a long road and it's a frustrating road. And it's not necessarily something everyone wants to do. However, if there is initiative on the ballot that is, you know, going to cut the sodas in your kids' school vending machines, then I would vote for that, right? And also, you know, it's so simple it sounds daunting, but literally all you have to do is find out your local, state, national, you know, federal representatives, get their number, call their office and say, I live in so-and-so's district. I support, you know, Proposition X. I do not support Proposition X. They take note of that. Like literally they want it because they want to be voted in again, right? So you bet if the majority of people call and say, oh my gosh, we want Senator so-and-so to support this initiative. You know, I voted for you. I'm a constituent. They do pay attention to that. And it literally takes like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
That's
I mean, it's like, just like, I mean, even in the schools, you can just like get parent teacher conference or like, what do you have? Like the PTA. I'm going to be on the PTA lobbying and then just using the student or the parents inside of my network or inside of the school district to help, you know, get what we need because I'm terrified to be.
Well, and that's
terrified.
where I think working with your schools is such a great way because in your school as a parent, those teachers, the principal, the administrator, they have more of a vested interest because you're there, right? And so, you know, if you can, you know, even say, look, I'll come in and do a little class on, you know, why we want to start a little organic farm, you know, in the little space that we have, or, awesome. You know, you know, can we have a discussion at the next school board meeting on the lunches, the school lunches that we're buying for our kids and what the different choices are. And then maybe do some homework on the different vendors that are in your local communities that would provide healthier options, right? So those things all make a really big difference. And when the teachers notice the difference in their kids' attention and behaviors, it makes it stick. So I think working at the school, at your local school level, if you can then reach out to the broader school district, you know, but I think once there are successes and better outcomes, the school district wants to pay attention and then the state wants to pay attention.
Yeah, because they get the money.
Kind of ripples up. Yeah.
They want the money from those grades. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you can think about the amount of money that they would also save in the support services, like having aides in every classroom, you know, to help those kids with the behavioral concerns. I mean, we can see there is a cost benefit analysis that would make total sense.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that advice. What a beautiful conversation today.
If I haven't made it clear, you need to read this book.
Yeah. Do you have, so at the end of our episodes, we like to leave the listeners with like just your life advice. And it doesn't have to necessarily be medical related, but you know, healthy kids, happy kids. Obviously, we're going to put all of the links to your books, but what's your one piece of advice for the moms listening?
I think that the biggest piece of advice as a mom myself is really, as you're rushing about your day, doing everything you can to keep your kids healthy and happy, it is so important to take time out for yourself. Mm-hmm. I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, I mean, we want to be there for the long haul for our kids too. And also we always have to think the time we're taking out to invest in our health, our physical and mental health, is the time that we would want our daughters and sons to take for themselves when they're parents.
I love that.
right? So we need to really model that. It is so important.
Thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
here today. We hope you had so much fun with us.
Yeah, loved it. Thank you so much.